It'll be attached to the minutes.
Let's go ahead
It'll be
and call
part
the
of
meeting to order.
record. But
Do you
it'll
want-
be part of it because it was sent to the group.
David,
Do
do you want to take
do you want
the
to
attendance of the meeting?
Oh, I didn't bring my laptop.
Do you want to do the pledge or do you want to do attendance?
Well, you have to get that, so we did the
So
photo.
I'll see if I can find prayer.
No, just email.
Oh, okay.
You don't have a microphone. I'm just
I got
gonna
it.
speak
You're-
loudly.
Or you got it. Oh,
Chair Stern,
Here,
Vice Chair Furtick,
here,
Harrison Grant Williams.
here.
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Declan Scott,
here.
and staff present. We have acting city manager Susan Grant.
Here.
Oh, B.
We have assistant city manager Tom,
USA.
Or a city attorney.
oh, excuse me, assistant, city attorney. My first time, whatever, there were yeah,
Tom Ansbrough.
different hats.
Yeah.
Okay, then I have Mr. Riley, city auditor, David Solomon, city clerk. Anybody else that I'm missing?
Good.
Okay, do you have a name tag?
Oh, for the public.
He's a public, okay, sure,
Mr. Contan, we have a sign-in sheet I'll give you.
wonderful. Okay, you have a
All
quorum.
right, so let's do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
David, would you just start off and read Mary Pelican's letter into the record, just so that it's on the record?
Oh. Okay. The disappointment you are likely feeling at the city commission's reaction to the charter revision board presentation on May 21st is understandable. I figured that was what was being presented was clear cut to you and most of it to the city commission. I can say I understand about 90% of it because I attended your meetings the last year and a half. When Harrison Grant Williams went through the recommendation at the council's April 9th meeting, it dawned on me that this is a lot. Most of the attendees are civic association presidents and well engaged and informed on city matters. About halfway through the presentation, I saw eyes glazing over. This is no reflection on Harrison, but rather the amount of material and its complexity. Being that this seemed to be the only public outreach by the charter revision board, I would say it was a failure. There were few questions or discussions. A few District 3 members got confused and thought it was for the county. You can see that the presentation on the council's website at cflca.org under the YouTube channel tab. This information needs to be concise and easier for people to understand. If they don't understand it, then they are not going to vote on it, so what's the purpose? In a sense, the Charter Revision Board needs to market itself. Notice how the Infrastructure Task Force reached out via social media and public meetings. These meetings were held in many locations around the city to make it easier for people to attend. Going forward, there has to be more public outreach. The membership of the council mostly did not get it and did not possibly let their own neighborhoods know what the recommendations were all about. Even the city commission was flummoxed at the late date of these recommendations, and the amount of time they were supposed to digest and come to a meeting of the minds on various recommendations. I suggest you reach out to the city's strategic communications department that help in getting the recommendations and any information on the charter revision board out through their social media. Again, better to make these recommended changes understandable. Go to at least 2 neighborhood meetings in each district. Realize that many civic associations take a break in the summer, just like the commission does. There's a lot happening throughout the city, and for neighborhood leaders, you need to get people's attention and not assume that what outreach there has been sufficient.
All right, so just for the point of clarification, because it appears the misconception of the process is stated in that letter. Mr. Attorney, would you please explain, and if you look even in the backup, going back to October 4th, 2018 minutes, the process always has been that the commission meets with us upon the completion of our work. And we present those items of the work that we did at commission workshop. This was dated October 4th, 2018, the last time that the charter review had done their work. And at that time, the commission then gets to select what they would like to put on the ballot, which is something that we repeatedly always said here at these meetings. We don't make the determination, we do our work, and it's only the commission gets to vote as to what they choose to put on the ballot. So being consistent with all prior charters, charter review boards, once we complete, we do the workshop, and then the commission then selects what they want. And then would you explain what the process is from that point?
I honestly can't tell you what you've been doing the last 30+ years, I haven't been here. I will tell you what I did. They beach, I didn't know there were 22 years, two charter board. I would expect the same thing. Go with the charter board, please give the fund to the submit memorandum or whatever document to the commission. As a commission rejects or modifies what the charter board has done. Sometimes they put 1 or 2 meetings and then push these on framed by meeting. Marketed to the public. You go in, the public is always invited to say, oh, here, being part of it, you know what you're talking about. Because that's just what the sausage is made. So they would have that ability to do that. But you're right, that to understand what's going on, you have to have work done and the questions framed and always trying to develop the questions. To find it set in front.
Except if
Per question, but that's hard to do, but that's how it's done. And use the time between commission approved it by ordinance or whatever it is, and submitted to the election. We then mark it as a city board.
And which,
Although I would defer to this gentleman, White's, in his firm, and all really they're part of this firm. As an honor, he marketed and prepared. We've been shown a number of churches, all up and down the coast. Part of the deal was that we did their charter work and did it for free. Sometimes he got them as a client. It was a pretty good deal. He was smart. He has a way in there. But when they got an opportunity,
so,
because they knew it and they're also extremely experienced.
and then the city has the right to educate the public. Once they approve and they create the ballot language and they submit it, then the city then expends the education to the public, which is exactly what this city, if you look through our backup, who was there, Trentalis, Glassman, Sorensen, McKenzie, and Moritas were all on the board, and that's what they did. They then invested money because they added also the bond for the Parks and Recreation and for the police headquarters. And they went out and they educated the public on the final ballot language and what was going on the ballot. And they did it, they took it from us on October 4th and it was on the following March. So it's the same timeline we were working now, where we submitted it in May. And then we've been on the June agenda, just like they did here in October, and they put it on the October agenda for approval. And then it made it the March election. And I also think it's important to clarify the fact too, that every commissioner had all the backup of our work on their agenda backup because of the agenda conference meetings as part of their agenda. And they all hold pre-agenda meetings on the Monday night before their commission meetings. So Jim, I know you on John Herbst.
Right.
Mary, I know Peliquin is usually on that. Were there any questions from the public of?
No, not on the topic of the charter.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you state your name for the record?
Jim Concanon,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And Harrison, when you spoke, you projected,
No, you go around everybody else, I'll be last.
thank you. Harrison, when you did the presentation, and that was videotaped and posted on the website for the Council of Civic Association. And were there many questions or how was it received?
Not many questions. It was a longer meeting and this was the last presentation. Susan introduced herself as the acting city manager.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure revision? No, infrastructure.
Task
Yeah,
force,
there-
yeah, Marilyn
Um,
did her spiel on the reimagining.
Right, but it was Marilyn, Cheryl, and a third presenter, one of the assistants.
Yeah, Laura Reese, yeah.
So yeah, I think that, you know, we went through all the slides, and thank you to, I guess they're not here, but Anthony Engineer, who was there with me at the meetings to kind of help fill in whenever I had a question for them on the technical side. I couldn't say though, I think based on Mary's letter, I do accept that this is a complex series of recommendations that we made over 2 years of really doing pretty thorough work. And I understand why it might be a little obscure to people that haven't spent as much time as we have with the charter. But at the time, certainly didn't get a whole lot of questions.
So we did have representation from the Council of Civic Association attending our meetings, plus we were always available to be out there. I know Jim isn't here today, but I know that she would attend the meetings as well. And Jim, you did have it posted on your website for the council?
Yeah.
And how many associations are members of the Council of Civic Association?
There's, I think, 45 that are paid right now, but typically it's in the low 50s. I think if everybody pays, it's probably gonna be around 51 to 53.
And
That's. yeah.
every one of our meetings was posted on the website. How did you handle that? Because the city has its own website.
Right,
So if people
right,
want to follow our process, they could see it on YouTube as well as see our agendas and see the backup.
Right, I post the link to the city, to the city's website, so they can view whatever, as well as the link to the YouTube site. The minutes, the approved minutes haven't been posted to the city's website, and I was instructed not to send those out or to post those on our website until they were approved. But they're still on the city's website, they're still draft. There was a couple in the beginning, and I would post those on council's website.
And David, how many meetings are held up here at FXC for the public? Or which organizations or which other important committees here at the city are held here?
Bab's been meeting here.
Yeah, it's BAB, infrastructure. And one other one, just give me 1 second, I'll pull the email.
Aviation Advisory, Budget.
Yeah,
Advisory.
thank you, aviation.
All right, Jackie?
Oh, thank you. I think we're trying to justify the lack of public outreach. That's what this whole conversation has been about. I've been saying since day one that we need to have more public outreach. We need to get more people involved. And obviously, the commission meeting was somewhat embarrassing because obviously they felt the same way.
Well,
And let me finish, please, okay? You know, there was comments made, there's just been a lot of animosity towards commissioners, which is inappropriate for this committee. We kind of sometimes look pretty rogue. We go from all these different sections instead of starting at the point A and going to point Z, because people have agendas on things they feel need to get passed quickly. And all these things play into where we are today. And I would like to put that animosity and those negative comments, they shouldn't be part of this board. They shouldn't be made at these meetings, and we should do our job. And we should definitely have far better public outreach. I couldn't justify that because Jim Concanon put something on the council website, that that's public outreach. If you've ever heard Commissioner Herbst talk, he's talked about the council or neighborhood presidents don't really represent everybody in his district because they only represent a few people. So our public outreach has to improve and we need to get back on the right page. And I was embarrassed.
so you understand that the items for us to sell to the public and educate them on are not there until the commission adopts and selects what they choose, and then that ballot language then gets crafted by the city
I don't want
attorney's
to
office.
sell the public. I want the public to participate. So if they think that we're making a problem or they want to have input, they should have input. Okay, they should have input. Now, maybe, I think in Mary's letter, she specifically said about marketing this board, letting people know this is going on. This is what we're discussing, etc. I mean, you don't sell something until you want, public input isn't selling. Selling is selling. Public input is letting them help discuss and hear what's going on and making comments. And then if everybody agrees and the public seems to be on board, then you go to the commission. Then you sell it once the commission's bought in. But they're obviously not buying in because we don't have enough public outreach. And the Council of Civic Associations, I was president of that years ago, that was not created to be the arm of publication for the city. That was created to protect neighborhoods and have input and make their recommendations.
Which is why
Which
we.
is- So I
which is why we
don't want to
included that here.
justify this anymore, because I feel like that's the big pitch today. But I tell you, things have got to change with this committee.
Richard, you were the point person for us that worked on putting together every one of our agendas, and you worked directly with staff. So I know there was a lot of time. Would you explain the process that you did on putting together the agendas?
I just like to make a couple comments. First, I'm very happy to have this amount of staff here. Because I have made comments before that I really felt like Judy did a very good job, Paul did a very good job, but we're understaffed. I feel like that I was putting in more time on this than staff was. And I'm happy to see that, and once Anthony got involved, then we started to get more, but I really feel like I've been through a lot of these charter reviews, and even in a city with 5,000 people, we've had more support than we've had from the managers. Paul's doing everything he could do, but it's a lot. And he's just one person. And Junia is lovely, doesn't know any, she's a community development person. She has never been through a charter review and all that. So
In the ranks.
I may not have been right, but anyway, I'm happy to have this amount of staff here. I think there's valid points to everybody else. I'm not gonna exactly answer your question. I think that there's two parts to this process. One part is getting public input as to what needs to be changed. In other words, does something in the charter need to be changed? And that's, or getting input, and that could come from the city commission, could come from charter board members, or it could come from the public. So that's sort of a phase, like a phase one. And then there's input from the commission as, the charter board as to what we've done and how we think we need to change. But I'm sort of back to the beginning, which is, I did not come here with any agenda other than I was asked to help to clean up this charter. And we are board of the city commission. And I think it was very clear from at least some of the city commissioners that we were not doing what they wanted us to do. And there was, this was Commissioner Glassman who kept saying, here's this memo and that memo, and these are the things we asked you to look into and all of that. And I really, for myself, probably put more work into this than anybody else. I'm not defensive or upset about what happened, but I am concerned about the future. And I want to do what the commission wants us to do. I don't have my own agenda. If the commission wants us to deal with 6 topics, that's what I think we should deal with. I don't think we should have, our own thing, because we're created by them. And honestly, if they want us to deal with 6 topics, then that's what I think we should deal with, and then go have a hamburger. If they want us to go, my understanding was that the charter needed to be gone through, that it was antiquated. But if they don't want us to do that, I'm fine not to do it. I'll go play golf. And I'll answer the phone for my kid. That's the only ones that get through are my kids, and that's my kid. Okay. So, I really feel like, I think it's unfortunate that we did all this work without sort of having, and the commission wanted to see, I don't know what a majority of the commission wants us to do. But I honestly feel from out of that meeting that the commission needs to say, this is what we want you to do. And frankly, I really don't feel like doing any more work until the majority of the commission says, listen, this is what we want you to do. I think I'm not at all involved in the politics. I think that some stuff was brought up, to be fair, in order because they didn't like where we were going, I didn't like where we were going, or some, people sort of raised a lot of dust about all sorts of stuff. Some of it was valid, and some of it was because maybe they didn't like what we were doing. I don't know. But for me, I think we should write the commission back and say, listen, it's very clear that we want clear direction from you as to where we're moving. That's what I think we should do. And because I think otherwise it's just like a waste of time to be, if they only want us to deal with a couple of things, fine, let's deal with them and be done. If they don't want us to, go through all the language, every piece of the charter, then let's not do it. So that's sort of where I am in terms of the agenda. Answer your question, I was operating, well, first of all, I had originally suggested, as you remember, that we start to go through the charter from beginning to end. Starting with chapter one. The majority of the board felt that there were 3 or 4 very important topics that needed to be dealt with up front, including city plans, the elections, and one other issue, which I don't remember. So we decided that we were going to do is we're going to deal with those issues up front and then go back and sort of march through the charter. And that's what we did. But if that's not what the commission wants us to do, then let's not do it. So my view would be, tell the, to send a commission back to the commission and say, what do you want us to do? And let them come to some consensus and say, okay, well, this is what you want. And if there's 3 votes that say they want us to march through this charter, great, let's do it. If there's not 3 votes, then it's just a waste of time to me.
So in the past and in the present, I would always talk to the person that appointed me to get direction.
Right.
Which I'm assuming you did too. So we knew, and Chris, I think you want to expound, Harrison, I'm sure you too. And Chris may want to expound upon that because I think that too, which again has been the pattern of every charter review board ever in the past, locally, city or county. We get direction from the people that appoint us as to what they would like us to address. And Chris,
Yeah, I'd like to make some comments. I'd like to comment on what Richard said as well as what Jackie said. And I think there's merit to both, but from my perspective, I don't think the city commission did its job in reviewing this material before we came. And they said that they had, but it was clear that they had not. And I also heard that for the last 6 months, I may have that wrong, from Vice Mayor Glassman, that he wanted to meet with us, but we've always been available. We've never sat here and said we aren't. In fact, we've had other dates floated and we've said fine. So I think, there's a lot of blame to go around if we're gonna have a blame game. And I don't think we need to have one. But the fact is that meeting did not go well. One, because I think city commission wasn't prepared, and you're right, Judy, that we should be reporting back. I mean, as a normal committee, you talk to your commissioner, the person that appointed you, you get input, you talk to them, and you get some feedback. But when we went to the city, it seemed like no one had ever heard of us. They didn't even know that Paul Bangle was the person that was drafting, because I think one of the concerns that I heard was, well, this wording that you have, we have to have it reviewed by the city attorney's office. Well, it had been reviewed. So I think we need to have a closer liaison, as Richard said, with the city. Tell us what it is you want. Give us direction from you as a body rather than from our individual members. As for Judy, I agree completely with what you said about going out and getting input. And this is where I disagree. We're not, Jackie, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Yeah, but I for the record, I agree with Jack. That we need to get input to see what the community wants. If they have particular issues, and take that into the blender. But I disagree that it's our job to market what we're doing. Prime example, I read in the Sun Sentinel where the mayor is up in arms about one of the sections that we reviewed had to do with the city manager being a permanent resident. And he says that whole thing should go, it should not be in the charter. We should be able, well, if we were out marketing, we'd then be going behind the city commission's back, we'd be meeting with neighborhoods, we'd be explaining to them and even advancing in marketing, to use the word that I heard, that we should take one course of action when this is absolutely contrary to what I'm hearing from the commission. So I don't think our job is to market. I think our job is to gather input data. And if we are going to go out to the city, I think so. But I've done this before. I know Judy's done this before. and we've gone to the meetings. And what we've seen is we get people such as Jim and other people, Mary, who come, who are city activists. But what we really don't see is people, the common people. Neighborhood associations may show up and we would hope that they would go back. And I'm not saying that derogatorily, we shouldn't, because we should give people the advantage to come, but I don't think that's gonna be the end all be all for us.
So because a lot of the issues that we're dealing with, the resident, the common, not there's no common resident, but the,
Public at
I
large,
don't want to use normal either.
No, the
But anyway,
average
the
individual.
residents
Mhm.
are not aware, they're not aware of the process that you use for a petition or how this is done or how and frankly, if things go smoothly, it probably doesn't bother them at all. But we could get, I mean, there could be some input saying, well, I want to change the form of government. Or I have a point, I have a view on this city manager resident issue. Or so I think that it would be quite generic, the kind of input that they would have as opposed to, change section 6.9 to go to 15%. So, I mean, I think that that's valuable. If the commission wants us to do that, I'm very happy to listen to the public.
And I thought it was very valuable when we had guest speakers come, such as when we had Peter Cruz from Palm Beach come and present, being a member of FAU, teaching government, as well as the Ethics Commission in Palm Beach County, when he came and presented to us forms of government. And then the council invited him out to speak to them as well. And on our website, the city's website for us, there is a section where you can submit questions, et cetera, et cetera. We didn't get any feedback back, but did you have anything at the Council of Civic Association after Peter presented to you and
Yeah, I
discussed
think
form
there
of
was-
government? I know Mary sat here and said, no, she didn't want the change to, elect a strong mayor, because she likes, and Mary
Yeah, there-
put out the record here.
There were questions that were asked. I think I would say that by and large, most people don't even know what the charter does, what its function is. So at a very high level, I think most people don't care. So that, I think, drives their motivation to participate, and I think it drives their motivation to do something, to have input. So I'm not terribly surprised. I mean, if you compare the activity and the amount of feedback we get from the public, however it might come in to either us or to individuals, I compare that, I make it the analogy that it's a lot like the number of people that vote. The number of people that vote in the local elections or the county elections. They're too busy in their daily life. So, in terms of marketing it, I think you really have to be aggressive to get people's attention just to see if they have any thoughts on it, or maybe even just to tell them what it is. What is the function of the charter?
And with that as well, when you have our websites up there, and the city does have strategic communication, maybe you want them to do more advertising on there, directing them to our website, directing them to our schedule. Unfortunately, the work that we do, we can't put out there the ballot question because that only comes from the commission when they select it, and then the city attorney's office when they craft it. So Jackie, what's your next?
Yeah, what I was gonna say from a marketing standpoint, Chris, I agree with you. We can't market something that isn't defined. However, when I mention marketing, I'm talking about the marketing takes place after the commission has decided. But to get public input, that's marketing, like whether it be a constant contact, like, how the city's communication, I don't know what department that is, Susan, they'll send out a constant contact, or this is what happened at the commission. If we have the ability to send something out, I would feel better if all the people got a constant contact. Charter review meeting Tuesday, this is what's gonna be discussed. Then we're really trying to engage them and get them involved. The other comment I want to make, because I want it to go into the record, I know there was 2 other letters, David, that were sent today to the Charter Revision Board. I know one was the CBA. And you got a letter from Central Beach Alliance.
Yes.
And I think,
I sent one.
okay, those are the two that I'm aware of.
Charter
So if we're gonna read something in the record, I'd like to hear those.
They did that
I
before you
read
got
that
here.
one.
So,
Do you
yeah.
have this one, David?
Which one is that one? From the CBA?
From Mr. Brown?
Yes, I have that one.
You should probably read it again, right?
Read,
Do I
yeah,
read it?
let's read that into the
Very
record,
short.
and let's also, because Tom would not be familiar, nor Susan, Bill Brown also, besides being on the Council of Civic Association in Central Beach, he also attended all of our meetings and had opportunities to sit here and ask questions along with everyone else. And our assumption has been, based on past performance, that those that come and make those representations are taking the information back. Because why else are they here? Their job, if they're going to be the leaders, would be taking the information back. And that's how we develop that style back with the past charter boards. So David, you can read that back into the record.
Okay. Okay, so I'm reading a letter from Bill Brown.
Bill
President.
Brown,
Bill Brown, yeah. I'll send them all to you as well,
for the record.
for the record.
Who is he?
Bill Brown, he's the president of the Central Beach Alliance. Okay. As a community leader, I see a need for additional public outreach before any revisions are placed in a referendum. I recall multiple times through your meetings in 2023 that Chair Stern said that there would be public workshops and additional public presentations. To date, this has not occurred. The only public outreach was conducted by a member of the Charter Revision Board to the Council of Civic Associations. This presentation occurred before the May 21st joint workshop between the City Commission and Charter Revision Board. Even after the workshop, there were many unanswered questions and open issues. As president of the Central Beach Alliance, I feel that additional to the CBA clarity is essential. After our June 20th meeting, we go into summer recess until September. We respectfully request that no attempt be made to rush to try and then place any revisions on the 2023 November ballot. Your hard work on the revision of the city's charter has not gone unnoticed. Thank you for your hard work.
You've probably been 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard.
I agree with you. I think, because the issue has been raised, we have to deal with this issue. But I think honestly, if we took a school bus and put charter review on it and ran around the city at every street with the ice cream man and said, who wants, anybody got any issues with the charter? I think nobody would come out, honestly, because, and so, I've done like 75 of these, written or revised these. And except if there's a hot button issue like the elections, or maybe now the city manager residence, nobody really is, as you said, nobody really understands all of it. And things only come up if they come up. And I don't think really very much is, would come up. So having said that, because this thing has been raised as if the public is dying to speak to all these charter issues, again, I go back to the city commission, we probably need to do something now because, and go to these rooms and there'll be two people sitting there saying, maybe if we serve food, more people will come, but I just don't think that maybe somebody would have a comment now about the residency issue or about how, sort of bad deal, the whole election thing looked like, and maybe there's other issues that I don't know about. But we have to resolve this issue because it's been raised, and Jackie, you may be right the public may have tons to say about this. But again, I go back to the city commission, we have to ask them what they want us to do. I don't really know whether, I know that I was speaking to my city, the one who appointed me, and he wanted me to do, so I did exactly what he wanted me to go from the beginning through the end. But we did these other things first, but I know that I was in touch with my commissioner that appointed me and actually other ones. And nobody said anything to me about, what are you doing? And nobody did. So I don't really know what the end game is here or I don't know what it is, but I think if we go to the city commission and say, what do you want us to do? And let them tell us exactly, then we can't go wrong.
And again, just to reiterate, our meetings are advertised on the city website under the charter revision. The YouTube is posted, the minutes are posted, and the Council of Civic Association did duplicate and put the links together. So
Judy, I'm willing to give the city commission the major benefit of the doubt and say that they're well-intentioned and they really feel like there needs to be public input on this. And if that's the case, I think that's what we need to do, and let them tell us, no, you don't need to do that, or we would like you to do that, or we'd like our staff to do that, but I keep going back to this. I'm not trying to be, when you're supposed to say things once and then be quiet about it, but I just think that I just don't know any other direction to move here.
And I think it's also important to reiterate that the city staff sat at the table with us. So we had the representation from every department. They are members of the charter review, just non-voting members. So they also bring forward to us items for review. So there was the ability to have access, because I don't want the misconception out there that we did anything in the dark. It was public, it was notified, it was even advertised so that 2 or more commissioners could even show up at a meeting if they chose. Dean certainly showed up here a couple of meetings to give input. Yes, Jackie?
Don't you think that we should take the original memos that we now all have with where the commission said, these are the things we want you to focus on, and start focusing on that until we get further direction? I don't know that all those issues have been addressed.
Well, I don't
So
know.
they've given us direction.
I don't know whether if it's true that these 5 members voted on those memos and gave us direction that way, then I think that's a good idea. If it's some other commission, that other member, I don't know. I don't have any idea.
And the other
Susan,
thing
I
I
think-
want to, the other thing I'd like, if I could just finish, Judy, and then the other thing I want to make sure, I don't want any more of these meetings with people talking negative and nasty about commissioners and staff. I can't take it. So no more negative comments and accusations. It's ridiculous.
I hope that it transpires over to other levels. But Susan, I think that there was a comparison done of the items that we did address versus what was on those memos, because I think we're pretty close to what was subjected.
I don't have it in front of me, but I think on the day of the meeting, Anthony put together a matrix. And I don't remember if there might be 3 memos, I'm trying to look here, of what was proposed or what got thrown out and what we actually, or what was actually it. And just from my perspective, if you're interested for a minute, I think okay, thank you. Part of it might have been, and I could be totally wrong, how we presented it that day. So, I'm a big fan of a matrix, right? Maybe a matrix with 3 different, okay, here's what the changes proposed. Here are the points that we considered when we did it. And then they could tell us yay or nay on each one. But maybe there was more, I don't want to use the word hand holding, but just more hand holding, item 1, item 2, item 3, and maybe or maybe not. So anyway, that's just my thought on that. I'm happy to do whatever we think should happen.
I just wanted to add into the record on January 24th, 2023, the memo from Greg Chavaria had in the 2018 agenda and draft meeting minutes, the October 15th, 2018 meeting minutes, and exhibits ordinances C 18-46 and 1847, which were the first ones that we started addressing, because that was on the first submittal to us from the city attorney's office as to the top priority. So that's exactly where we started when we started this process.
So what do you want to do, guys?
I like your idea.
I would like to see the comparison, have Anthony give us the comparison of what we already addressed, so that the commission knows what we addressed based on what was submitted to us. So that, people are talking like we didn't address anything that they wanted when we did. And I'll start with this, first memo right here. So therefore, let Anthony do that document and make sure that gets circulated.
Yeah, I made a little bit for the Anthony. Thanks.
Are you a member of the public?
I am. Yes, ma'am, it's an extra copy or not?
You're okay, Vanessa.
Hi,
I'm sorry.
Vanessa,
You don't know what you're doing.
Vanessa Apotheker. I'm the president of Charbon River Civic Association. and the District 4 rep for the Council of Fort Lauderdale. Did you receive the letter on behalf of the Tarpon River Civic
The one that was
Association
sent to
Board?
the commission, yes.
I sent it to commission, yeah, and a couple other people.
Can you read it?
Oh, yeah, can we read it for the record?
Just for the record, and
I do.
Okay,
she feels like we have a paid consultant on one campaign, so. let's-
I am not a paid, I'm sorry, what?
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Those are the
I'm
kind of
sorry.
comments, Judy, that you heard
That is
yourself.
very
Leave her alone.
insulting. First of all, I'm a volunteer and I guarantee everybody has people that they support that are not. And there's no conflict of
David,
interest.
those comments are
This is
unnecessary.
insane. I am not paid by anybody.
Go ahead, please read that into the record.
on behalf of the Tarpon River Civic Association Board of Directors, I urge the city to roll out a robust community outreach effort all across districts before any vote. I appreciate the time and effort of staff and board members, but it's my understanding that there are 0 appointed members who reside in District 3 holding those seats. It's incumbent upon you as elected officials to take appropriate actions to ensure all residents contribute to this process in a meaningful way. This is a complex and important matter relating to our city governance that deserves deliberate, professional, and complete education outreach efforts. The checkbox of public notices being met is not sufficient here. Thank you for your time.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you believe, are there issues that you believe the public would like us to address that we haven't addressed, just from your own point of view? Because that's what I'm getting, that there's issues out there that the public would like us to address that we haven't addressed. Not that they might have an opinion about what we are addressing, but that there's issues that we're not addressing.
I think it's a matter of transparency and just feeling like, I don't know, things are just not being
So she's.
like transparent and, sorry, I'm on right now,
Take your time.
my question is, does this board want more community outreach and public input? Is that what the question is? And if so, is it like, how are we going to? We want it, but it's not our job to advertise it or to promote it. Is that the position of the board? Like, we want more public input, and we want more community outreach, but it's not our job to advertise that. That's one.
I think what you need to recall is our meetings are advertised,
I'm aware.
okay? The
So,
YouTube of
but
our
my
meetings.
question
is
was,
on.
do you want more? Do you want that? Do you want more public input and more community outreach? And it's not your job to do it, but you want it, but you just don't.
Why don't you answer that?
And I think you raised some very valid questions. But you should all consider that you're sitting here at a board meeting and you have free expression. It's not like the city. We don't make you sign up. We don't limit you to 1 minute or 3 minutes. And what I think is, yes, we do. But we have received this back and forth. People who aren't members of this committee can sit here, can ask questions, and we have that kind of discourse. So we're not trying to discourage anything, but it comes to a question as, and I think Richard hit the nail on the head, how do we really do this?
Right.
And we have the city will go out and arrange for us venues in various locations where they set up times and dates for us to be there. Will the city publicize this? And then the question comes down is, what are we looking for? And I think Richard also hit the nail on the head too. We are a committee that we are doing the best job that we can with the resources that we have. Can we do better? Absolutely. But I think what we need is we need some direction as well. We've done this for, as Harrison said, for almost 2 years. I thought the committee worked very well during that period of time. We respected everybody's opinions. And we've made some positions, but yes, you're right. We need to go out there. We want to have the input, but what do? We are a committee of 5 and, we are professionals. We aren't marketing individuals. So
I
To answer your
apologize
question.
if it came across as like aggressive. My question was, is that the goal of the board? Because if so, then we can try and figure out, like you said, ways to do that. And if it's with the help of CFLCA, if it's with the help of our neighborhood presidents, if it's something we all want, we can get that done together. My question was, and I appreciate all of the work that you guys do. I myself, as a volunteer for the city, as well as everybody that I work with on the boards, we're volunteers. So it's not our like job to do these things. We're volunteers and we're trying to do the best for the city, right? Isn't that what we all want? The best for the city? So it's quite offensive that you're trying to make it sound like I'm being political about it. Sorry, okay. So if we want to all work together, that's what I'm saying. And I don't know if it's the CFLCA's job to advertise the meetings. I mean, they're on the website. I understand that people don't always go to the website to look because they don't know what to look for and they don't know, like, who's gonna read this?
But to be fair, because I prepared these agendas and I insisted with Judy, and she was very good about this. These agendas were out, you know, it wasn't just like we're meeting. So on an agenda would be discussion of city manager, discussion of election procedure. So from my point of view, and if I was wrong about it, I'm wrong about it. I honestly felt like if people, that these, you know, these are public meetings in the sunshine, I really felt like if people were interested in discussing these items, they were interested in the work of the charter review board, then they would be looking at our agenda saying, you know, I really have a bone to pick about this item. And they would have come to the meeting. I really, honestly, I was under that impression that they would have done that.
Who is they? I'm just curious. I'm not being defensive or
I know
aggressive.
that.
I'm just saying, who is they?
Public, these meetings are in the sunshine. We have to advertise them in a way according to state law. They're on the city website.
And
So when I say they, I mean any member of whoever another they are saying we should have gotten input from. I had thought that if people really had strong feelings about sale of public land or other things, that when we put it on the agenda and I made sure that everything was done way in advance, that they would have come to the meetings. Honestly, that was my view.
Richard and Vanessa, when you have your HOA meetings, did you ever invite anyone from the staff? Because you attended some of our meetings.
I absolutely
Did you
do
ever-
invite them. We all have,
No, did
as
you invite
everyone-
anyone from the staff here to come and present to you during the process to get input to bring
we
back?
have, first of all, there's this great board. There's also 800 other meetings a week. I have 2 small children. I have everyone can't be on top of everything all the time, and that's why we rely on other people to relay this information to us. And so we can't all be like, oh, I'm very interested in this one particular thing. There's a million things out there. And so my bottom line was, if we want more community outreach, and that's our goal, then we can figure out a way to make that happen. That's all I'm saying.
And what I was referencing was, as head of a homeowner association, you put together your agenda. Did you ever request staff to come out and
For
present
what?
to
From
your
which
HOA?
staff? I have staff come out from many different public works
Yeah, but did you
Who in staff
request
could come out
which-
there and tell them what's going on?
about charter
Name the
review,
person that could do a presentation, Judy.
about charter review,
Yeah, name the person.
and on which particular issue?
Which issue would you like to have them come out? That's what
In
we have-
general,
we have
nobody
the
knows
attorney's
anything
office,
about
we
this.
have Anthony
Nobody
Lombardo.
knows. So if you want, also, a lot of people come and say, hey, can I talk to you about flooding? Can I talk to you about your sewer? Can I talk to you about this? It's not me as my volunteer job to reach out to everybody and say, hey, can you come talk to me about page 187 on this thing that I don't even have time to read? If you think it's something that's important for the community to know, I think it would be helpful if you say, hey, we would like to reach out to you because this is an important issue going on. So can we please come speak at your meeting? Do you have time to have us there? It's like working together.
Yeah, I
I
think.
think
that-
frankly.
It's not my
I think
fault.
frankly at this point, the issue has been
Right.
raised. Since you've
I
been
think we
raised,
need to.
you know, I think this issue's been raised. And there is a perception that the public, and I'm not being at all facetious about this, saying that the public would like to be more involved in this process, that they would like to, that they have comments on some of the charter provisions. And if the commission feels that way, then let the commission tell us that they want to do some outreach, and it doesn't need to be the charter. It could be the staff going out and having, going to these meetings and say, hey, we're going through a charter review process. This is the way the process works. Do you guys have any stuff that you'd like to raise about the functioning of the city or about that I can bring back, and there could be a report from the staff to the charter? They go into the blah, blah, blah association, and they thought that there should be some more in the charter about dogs and cats. I don't know, whatever. But I think that, I think the commission has to tell us whether they want us to do that kind of, whether they want to do the outreach, you know, or they wanted to have the staff do the outreach. Because I know you don't have nothing else to do, because, but I'm just serious, and if this issue has been raised, it's not gonna go away. Judy. You know, I don't think it's gonna go away.
Correct.
There's obviously a very strong feeling that the public has a lot to say about this, okay? So,
How do we
if the
do?
commission wants us to hear it, great, let the commission tell us how they want to do it.
Michael?
Madam Chair.
I'm
My
sorry.
name is Michael Albetta.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I am the second vice president of the Council of Fort Lauderdale Civic Associations, as well as I'm the president for Lake Ridge Civic Association for the past 12 years. So in speaking this, Madam Chair, I would have loved to have sat here and through these meetings here, but the board of the Lake Ridge Civic Association, the executive board, meets every first Thursday of the month. We passed a provision, we moved our meetings now to the first Monday of the month, so now I'm gonna be sitting here. Moving forward to, Harrison did a phenomenal job of the presentation at the council. Just to bring it all forward, some faces are new to me, some faces. I said, but he did a phenomenal presentation at the board meeting, at the council meeting. He was putting 100 pounds in a 5-pound bag. And the fact of the matter is that people didn't understand exactly half of the first quarter. They caught it in this last three portions of it, they didn't catch it. For instance, Christine Jones, who is the District 3 rep, she thought he was speaking on behalf of Broward County-wide issue. She didn't understand it whatsoever. Then moving forward, there are a couple of other people from Dorsey Bend that were questioning and everything else. Moving forward, what I'm saying to resolve this, for those who know me, I do a lot of coordination and a lot of organizing of events and everything else. Me personally, so you can get a great output into the community, and District 1 should have it at the Beach Community Center at a specific night there. District 2, Art Serve, District 3, YMCA on Lee Mizell, District 4, maybe the Armory or somewhere else like that. And you make it specific and you have a town hall meeting, you get the civic association involved. How? You get neighborhood support. They reach out and they tell exactly what's going on and let them beat the drum. And for instance, we'll advertise such as my civic association newsletter, Betty Shelley's, you ever see her newsletter? It's phenomenal, it's a book. And we would post everything on exactly what's going on to the various different civic associations. We would definitely make sure that this very imperative matter is being heard through the public. And that's what I'm trying to say. Moving forward, you definitely need input in this. Because, and I'm gonna be very frank with you. It's my first time hearing them speak about this issue. He saw my face, he saw my questions, he heard me. And I think I'm pretty involved. Yeah, and so for me, I felt like, you know, I was missing something. And I apologize to this board here, but the fact is that this board here needs to move forward and say, how can we maybe it's not your job to do this. But then maybe ask directions. I'm hearing, well, let me push it back to the commission. And say to the commission, well, how do you want us to do this? Well, the commission has a phenomenal organization has an agency there called Neighborhood Support. They would push this out. They would move this. They would put this everywhere where they can understand plain language. And I say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, please. Simple language, so for the simple folk. That's all. Thank you.
So we do have a liaison from Neighborhood Support that does attend the meetings
Okay,
and attends the Council of Civic Association meetings and wherever other meetings.
terrific.
That is our liaison to the neighborhoods,
Mhm.
just so that that's clear. And the fact, again, all the publication of this, as well as any commissioner can ask us or call us up and ask for any presentation. And any HOA can call and ask for a presentation. As far as the actual ballot, and every month we will reiterate that on the record. Whatever we recommend, until the commission adopts it, then the city attorney has to define and refine it to just 75 words to make the ballot. And then again, that is the language that goes out to educate the public on what's coming forward. So just so that that's also clear, that there is that liaison. And what we've done, which is more unique than years past, we actually had the interaction. We just public input's always here. It was someone brought up, Paul Chettle years ago and said to me, why do you have public input? Because we take public input. So the public has had the opportunity, plus on the website, there is an email link if you have any questions. So again, if you had something, we could always have been invited out to a homeowner because we have staff that works for the city, that works with our board to bring the information. Jackie?
Thank you. I agree with what Richard said, regardless of what you say and justify, there's been a problem of perception. But my fellow board members, I would like you to agree with me that the chair can no longer make nasty comments to the public and sarcastic comments. This is, if you guys are gonna sit here and accept that, that is really unacceptable, to attack someone and accuse them of something. Please speak up. If you think that's appropriate, that the chair does that.
Jackie, if you want me to speak up, I will. I think there is a great deal of underlying stress between you and Judy. We can see that. We all can see that.
It's between Judy and Vanessa.
No. Historically. I'm not talking about tonight.
Well, I'm talking about the comments to
Well, you
negative
wanted to
people.
hear me, Jackie.
Okay, but I
You
would like
asked
you to
me-
address it.
You asked me to address it. I was not. I don't think that it's my place to do that.
Wow.
No, I don't. I think
Wow.
my place is to sit here and to do my job, and that is to review the charter, to discuss as a group, as we have, and we have voted on these issues as a group. And as a group, we've all lived by the various input that we received. After we voted and we had a majority, we said, fine, and we went on and went to the next issue. Now, frankly, when I heard what you said at the city commission meeting, reading your letter about how this commission is political, you've been for three
It
or four
is.
meetings at that time.
It is.
Well,
It didn't insult anybody. I just spoke.
no, what I'm
from my heart.
saying is it didn't act as a body that comes together.
Right?
We talk amongst ourselves. We disagree with our positions, but we do it very respectfully, I think. At the end, we vote, and then we accept the group's decision and we go ahead. But frankly, again, you asked, I wasn't gonna bring this up.
No, I feel.
But,
I want
you know,
to-
I think that you were like the lone voice saying, well, wait a minute. I'm not part of these four people. I disagree with what they're doing. And I don't think that was the time or place to do that. I think you should do that at the meeting beforehand. We can sort that out. You know, I've always treated you with the greatest deal of respect.
Likewise.
I agree with much of what you say. But, you know, it takes two people to create this. And you said earlier, we should put this all behind, or somebody said, and I think that's fine. We should just go forward.
But Chris, I have to respond to you. I've known you for 40 years at least. And I have to tell you, my problem is when the chair disrespects. Mary Peliquin has been insulted by this chair. Bill Brown has been insulted by this chair. Now she tries to attack Vanessa, who's a very sensitive person making accusations. We can't get things done when people are behaving that way. It has nothing to do with, we don't have a relationship. Everybody knows that, but that's not what I'm talking about, Chris. I'm talking about people on the board sitting silent when the chair insults other people. Enough is enough.
Do you have the public would like?
Yeah, my only comment to that, Jackie, is,
It's not.
no, if we all engage with each other, the board is, it's not gonna be a board. If I feel that someone else made a comment that I thought was not right, I'm not gonna call them down on that, because all I'm doing is engaging at that point, and I'm creating more of an issue. You've raised it, I think you're right, there is an issue. But I think it takes, two to tango as well, and I'm asking that everybody buries the hatchet and let's move forward.
I'm in favor, but I just want to make sure that you guys, when there's a nasty comment made to someone in the public, that you guys call her out on it, not just me. I bury the hatchet, but you need to hear that.
Yeah, no, I
There's a
understand your
second.
position.
Okay, thank you.
I think the public would like to.
Where are
speak.
we moving on with this agenda right now?
Yeah, you
I
can-
think the member.
Wait, Vanessa.
I think that you saying you are welcome to public input, and then when somebody from the public comes and tries to say something, I was never attacking anybody. All I was saying is, how can we get this done so that we all have the same objective and getting more community outreach? I wasn't feeling very heard. I felt more attacked. And so this is a lot of courage for me to come sit at this table with all of you people. Like, I am doing my best as a person to do what I can for the city. And it's intimidating to come speak in front of you. And then the way that you just spoke to me so aggressively, nobody wants to come to these meetings and speak their mind. It's very intimidating in general, let alone being attacked like that for saying something that is not, all I was saying is, how can we all work together for the same objective? And then it's like aggressive, who's gonna come here from the public? It's hard to do this in
Vanessa,
general.
I think it's very important for you to understand the process. And when you talk about coming here and no one being inclusive,
It's not
when you've had the
inclusive.
opportunities to invite people back, I think it's time that all the work that we took, all the input that we took at every meeting for 18 months, we came to a lot of conclusions. And we're ready to move on as to how to address what needs to be done with the city commission. Harrison, do you want?
We have a legitimacy problem. Plain and simple. This board should have been able to do the work that we have been doing by going through the actual language of the charter, discussing things that need to be changed, making the recommendations. And we should have had the trust of both the public and the city commission that we were doing these things in good faith. I know that this is my last meeting. I think that you guys are gonna be in good hands with the representative from District 2. But I would like to say that I do think in these rooms, we have taken serious issues, discussed them with seriousness, and actually come up with some pretty decent levels of consensus on most things. And the reason that the board did not vote to take any of them up is because, in spite of the work that we did, it was seen as illegitimate. How the Charter Review Board fixes that problem is for the Charter Review Board going forward to make that decision and figure out. I do think that, again, we spent 2 years, give or take, going through most of the issues that we were directed to from Dwayne Spence memo, which is included with the backup. Second page here. Section 4.06, acting city manager on resignation or absence of disability of the city manager. Feel like we did tackle that. Public hearings and public notice, maybe not so much. Special meetings, most definitely. Qualification of members, forfeiture of office, spoke about that at length. Forfeiture of office, also spoke about that at length. Elections, we didn't necessarily deal with the tie vote issue, but I think that we dealt with that at length in public property, I think we really did come up with some great suggestions. It is deeply unfortunate that serious work was not considered in that way. The motivations of the individuals involved, we can all speculate, but it's not necessarily important. Government requires two absolutely foundational pillars in which to do its job: sovereignty and legitimacy. This is what happens when you fail to achieve legitimacy.
Judy, can
Yeah.
I'm gonna make them, because I don't
Please
wanna
do.
keep saying the same thing because it's obnoxious. But I'm gonna make a motion that we direct communications to the city commission and outline, ask them a specific set of questions, which is, you know, basically, where do you want us to go from here? What would you like us to do about public input, public input beyond what we're doing?
What does it look like?
What does it look like to them? Beyond, now that maybe you've had a chance to review the issues, what would you, on these memos, what are the issues left that you would like us to review? And then finally, do you want our work to be limited to just the issues on your memo, or do you actually want us to go through this charter? That's me.
Second.
1 second,
All in
please.
favor?
I'm sorry, real quick, 1 second. So the memos in question are memos from,
The memo I referenced is from the city attorney's office.
I know that one, there's the one that he's read.
The other one was
Two.
January 24th, 2023. The memo that was suggested.
Or you can give it to me.
Yeah, they're both.
Commissioner Buckham was
Thank you.
talking about two memos that we had received.
These are the two memos.
Okay, so
That's fine.
we have them.
The clerk's gonna give them to me, thank you so much. Who was the second, Miss,
Chris Hurd, seconded.
Scott? Okay, thank you.
Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hurd, Scott,
Hurd.
their name.
I'm sorry.
And the January 24th memo actually refers to an agenda from 2018, it's something.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it also addresses the ordinances, C-18-46 and C-18-47, which dealt with the elections and sitting of members and et cetera.
I'm gonna move to amend my own motion, which I can do.
Okay,
This is the city, for the city manager. I think you know what we're getting at, and I ask you to draft this memo to the commission. And, if you have questions about what should be in it, let's talk about them. But I think you understand, without me belaboring and going through every memo like I was introducing evidence, just what we're asking for.
Just, you had 4 things, I got number 2.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Six.
I remember them. Okay, so one is that we asked the city commission.
Would you like me to read your motion? Thank you. Motion by Richard Weiss to direct communication to the city commission requesting direction for public input. What does that look like? What are the issues left for review, and should work be limited to original memos?
So I thought there were 4 things.
There were.
Issues.
What one
Was it about, like,
what was public input? Number
I
2
thought that was number 2.
yeah, what was one? Well, one dealt, do we have a tape?
There will be.
Is there one that we could just play back? Because unfortunately, I didn't write it down.
Is this being taping? Is this?
One had to do with whether they want us to limit our review to the memos.
That was the last
That
one.
was the last one.
And
Well, that's kind of combined with what issues are left to review.
So, I mean, the one that,
I want specifically to tell them to tell us whether they want us to go through this thing page by page by page and go and clean it up and do updating and stuff, or whether they just want us to deal with the issues on the memos.
so the
That
motion,
was the last item, want full review.
the motion that I read had 4 items. I'll reread it just for clarification. Motion by Richard Weiss to direct communication to the city commission requesting 1, direction for public input. 2, what does that public input look like? 3, what are the issues left for review? And 4, should the board's work be limited to original memos?
Or do they want us to go through the charter page by page? That's
That's
fine.
a perfect thing. That's perfect.
That's done it 75 times.
Okay,
Let's, would you like to second it again, Mr. Furtick?
I was second again.
Thank you.
call the question.
Ready? Roll call?
Yep. Call it back.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Grand Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chair Furtick,
Yes.
Chair Stern.
Yes.
And then the second part of this is, I really don't think it's valuable for us to keep meeting absent city commission direction, and I don't know when they're gonna give us direction. So my second motion would be to, if they give us direction, before our meeting in July, at least 2 weeks before our meeting in July, because I need to prepare the agenda, then I think we should have the July meeting as soon as it doesn't interfere with that one. If not, I think our next meeting should be on the first Thursday of,
September.
following first Thursday of the month following, when we get direction from them as to what they want us to do.
They meet June 18th and July 2, then they're on a break till August 26th.
Okay, well, if they give us direction at the next meeting, that's great. I'm happy to meet over the summer.
We can
Otherwise,
get one in, right?
otherwise for me,
We can get a communication in for the 18th, right?
honestly, I was having a great time. And I thought, I was not upset by the commission meeting. I just felt like we were, not in sync with what they wanted, but I'd like the commission to tell us what they want to do. Well, not that.
If I can say something.
Yes.
I want to take some ownership of this, it's being a new city attorney. You heard me at the first meeting, talk about, I don't think you, Commissioner, are ready to do this. I didn't see that you got an opportunity to meet with them, so they heard you, you got feedback from them, they told you, I disagree, I don't want you to talk about strong, whatever it was, you didn't have that dialogue. And I just felt, and I didn't feel comfortable, my perceptions, that you had met with the people out front, or Judy tells me you had, there've been a lot of outreach, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter now. But I took the ownership of trying to almost derail it because I didn't think it was ready to go. Even at the last meeting, we talked about this, Mr. Archie brought it up, and I, at the risk of offending him, I still said, I don't think you're ready to go. There's maybe an opportunity, to even try to get it on. November. You talked about this process. I don't think you have the time to get it on, because you haven't had the dialogue. Like you're saying, what do you want us to do? And short of that, it is pointing out, you can't go to the public until you know what the questions are. And you haven't felt you've already given the people the opportunity to talk, then you need to go back to square one and give them that, drive that bus here. I'll go with the bus with you, the school bus, and we'll use megaphones. Does anybody have something they want to say? But I'd like to see that exhausted from my personal point of view. You tried, nobody came out. Your experience is probably that nobody shows up. I did it for 2 sessions for Dania Beach, many multiple sessions, 3 women would show up. But they were articulate.
But you did it.
We did, yeah, that's the point.
That's the
And
point.
we offered it, that's correct, we did. So that's what I feel is still missing.
So, Madam Chair, I wanted to say also to Vanessa that I know that this is a intimidating, difficult to sit at a table like this, but I think that this board, if you went back and looked at the tapes, and I think that we have, and this gentleman has been at the meeting, I think that we've been very open to comment. Listen, I can't account for the politics, and I'm frankly not particularly interested in it, but I mean, aside from that, I think we've been very open to hearing that the woman from the group of Citizens Association, she came and she spoke many times. You spoke time. There were other people here. We've been as open as you, I know that it's an intimidating environment, but I think that we've been as open as any government body could be in terms of getting public input. And I know you may have just had not a great experience, but it's not indicative of the way we've operated. And I think you might agree with me.
Jim says,
I have one thing that disturbs me. We're talking about the input from the commission. So we've been at this for quite some time. And the only body that was here was the mayor. So I was really kind of surprised, and now that I didn't go to that meeting, I was working. The one where you had the review, it didn't turn out so well. I'm still very surprised, and I think this is maybe the genesis of the disconnect, that nobody from the commission, other than the mayor, showed up at any of these meetings from the time we start, well, early, very early, when we were at City Hall, but nobody came. So there was no opportunity for them to give their input and say, no, you're way off base, focus on this
I
instead.
will tell you, Jim, I can only speak to my commissioner. After each meeting, I spoke with my commissioner. Before each meeting, I spoke with my commissioner and I said, these are the items on the agenda. And I got his, so.
Okay.
He was, my commissioner was 100% up to date on what we did.
And same-
That's
Probably
really
should have had a
And
meeting.
same-
We should have more
same thing.
meetings with them. We
And
didn't.
If I can't get the perception, I'm only here 6 months. Perception when I first came in was that there had been requests to meet with the board and it just didn't work out over and over and over again for another, please let me with the board. It didn't work out for their ability to do that. My experience, I rely on you, Richard, as well, is that you meet with them as a body ultimately. So they hear from you.
But it
They-
didn't work.
they
We
make
tried to
you-
schedule the
sometimes they
meetings
tell you,
a couple of times,
I don't wanna do
and the
this.
schedules didn't work.
I'm not gonna talk about a strong mayor. 3 votes for that, we're not gonna do it. You get the direction that way. What I went through in Dayton Beach was term limits, big to do about term. But we got direction. Sometimes the commission down there heard from their board and was unhappy about it, and, threw it off. Board was unhappy, but they got their things on the ballot and we got things done. So that dialogue between you and the commission is important. Now you're facing a new commission in several, 5 months. How do you deal with that?
And 1.2 is, it did come up at the commission meeting of objections raised that we even had discussion about a strong mayor. One commissioner objected to the fact that we even discussed that.
Let me give you an example.
But what I'm saying to you is that he objected and there was no consensus from them to ask us to proceed doing that. Only one person turned around and said, well, I want that.
And
But it was not
for me,
consensus.
You should have come to me. You know how to do it. If I don't have 3, I don't do it. It's not
There
gonna
were,
happen.
right, and so there were not 3 votes up there to ask us to proceed with it.
I will tell you that I didn't ever involve, including 2 Broward County charter reviews where the charter review board did not fully discuss anything that we could discuss. And in the end, as Judy said, in the end, if we came up with something that they didn't like, then they didn't come about.
Right.
And so it was not, it's sort of like a chicken and the egg thing, come with one way to do it. But in most situations that I've been in, the board does what it feels like is appropriate with the best interest of the city in mind. And it's presented to the city commission. And if the city commission feels like they don't want to do something, then they don't. So,
Just go through the series of the issues.
they just go through the issue.
Yeah.
That's very nice. You discussed the strong mayor, but we're not interested. Okay, fine. I mean, there's just, but, apparently, I really don't know sort of what we're on. I know where we are now.
And
It's-
Going back to that, the fact that we did have these to start working from, we did work from the memos that were given to us January and February and went through that first.
Probably if the presentation would have begun by, I don't know, you or staff or whoever. These are the things, these are the memos you sent. We want to let you know, these are the things we discussed. But it wasn't handled that way.
Well, that's
You know?
inaccurate because actually Anthony had provided that.
No. But at the presentation, Judy,
That day,
I didn't hear Anthony say that.
the commission had from Anthony documents.
Oh, he went through that verbally?
No, you were doing it in a memo.
Yeah, I think it's always important to do it verbally and,
So-
and say.
This way they-
I think it would have been great, but again, they tried to shoehorn us in it in an hour and a half. In the first 45 minutes, we never even got to Richard talking, and, it was a fiasco, but again, there's a lot of blame to go around to everybody. It just did not work right.
I think we should stop talking about what happened.
Yeah.
That's the commission for direction.
Right,
That my motion is regarding these meetings. I don't think we should have another meeting until the commission tells us what to do. That's my feeling.
And I would just like to make sure that they're aware that the 2 memos that were given to us from day 1 were the items that we did address first off before we started delving into the rest.
If you made a motion,
I did.
I will second
There,
that.
wasn't really a clear
I
motion.
make a motion that we refrain from having, that we hold our, we refrain from having another meeting until we get direction from the city commission as to how they would like us to proceed with enough notice so that we can do a proper agenda.
So let's ask, how much time do you need prior to a meeting?
2 weeks.
Question, if, I mean, we'll be able to get this on as a communication to the city commission for June 18th. Will someone from the committee be able to there to hear any of the feedback if they decide to provide it?
I would like them to provide it, not in, not verbally, because I think we're just gonna end up,
It'd probably be on conference.
it's gonna be the same.
A conference meeting, I don't know how, if we have to require
What I'd like
them
them
to.
to do is, I mean, listen, I can't direct them what to do, but if it's just talking, unless there's some votes on this stuff,
Well,
then
not
we're
at
gonna
a
end up back where we
not
are.
at a conference meeting, but the direction on the public input, what's left to review or whatever.
I think that there needs to be a clear consensus and that they need to instruct their staff to write a memo back to us saying, this is what we want you to do.
And I think we had discussed here a couple of months ago that our product should be the written memo to them, that it wasn't necessary for us to all be sitting around the table, present them the work and let them give us the feedback based on the work that we've already achieved.
And one of the reasons for that is that we did disagree on, on certain things, something that you all agreed upon, I voted against. I think that was, it's not the purpose to hear an individual person, their view. The committee voted and the memo represented what the majority of the committee did. And I mean, that's why it was done.
Should we include in the communication that a written response is requested or?
Yes, I think we need a response because then we have something in stone that we'll look at.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Just requested, yeah, it would be helpful.
City staff provide written response based on feedback. Do we have to amend the motion?
Took.
Oh,
We're semi.
Okay,
And
I think you could take.
we had a second to your motion as to the next.
We didn't
meeting.
vote on it.
Yeah, we need to vote on it.
Again, the motion is not clear.
Pardon?
Your motion's not clear.
The motion is to hold off on having any further meetings at this board until we receive direction from the city commission with at least 2 weeks' notice prior to our first Thursday of the month meeting.
So what you're saying is that the meeting should be canceled if you do not receive the motion to cancel the next meeting if you do not receive.
The motion is
Communication.
not to schedule any further meetings until we
Right.
receive notice from the city.
Motion to.
Direction.
You are to
Direction
that.
from the city commission.
Seconded once again.
Okay, so just so I have it for the voting, motion to cancel all future meetings until, response from city commission is received on the 4 points
The 4 points with enough time, and the next meeting should be
within 2 weeks.
held.
Yeah.
So that we have 2 weeks'
Yeah, I
notice.
think it's
So we'll get focused.
Okay, sure. Does anybody need that read back or are we all clear for the vote?
Clear.
Okay, ready? Mr. Weiss?
Yeah.
Mr. Grand Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Vice Chair Furtick,
Yes,
Chair Stern.
Yes.
Okay, 4-0.
Uh,
I move that we thank Harrison for his service and that.
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Did Vanessa leave? And you put so much.
1 second, are you having the second? Do you need a second? Do you want to be the adjournment?
Yeah, motion, you know what, I'll take it.
Make the motion.
I second.
Oh, okay, Ms. Scott said
It was unanimous. We all thank.
it.
This is a point of personal privilege. It has been an honor to serve with all of you. This has been a very intense couple of meetings. However, I think that this was very good work, done seriously. I had a lot of fun being a part of it. I know that's a weird thing to say, but in all honesty, I'm glad that I served my term. I did ask not to be reappointed, but that's for personal reasons. I do not regret anything that we did. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would also like to add just one thing is we all are gonna miss Harrison very much, but I think Michael will be a very good addition and we welcome Michael to be sitting in this chair next time
Thank
and
you very much.
participating with us.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you.